Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. As you can see, I'm back home. Actually bagged because we were up until it was basically 2 o'clock before we were tucked up in bed, which for somebody of my age is amazing. I'm normally in bed by 9:30, that's done. And of course, no surprise that the chores needed to be done this morning, and nobody seemed to care that we'd only had a few hours sleep. Horses still needed to be fed, and dogs needed to be let out. But anyways, had a great vacation, and at the same time, really happy to be back at home. Nice sunny day today. Apparently it's going to rain tomorrow. Anyhow, what I was going to talk about, going to be having Jamie on as a guest in a little while. We're going to chat about yesterday's big fight and the undercard probably. But I wanted to talk about Eddie Hearn. Now, as you know, I am not a big fan of the promoters, whether it's Darth Warren or Eddie Hearn or Ben Shalom, or it doesn't matter who they are. It's not that I don't have a lot of respect for promoters, it's just that I don't have a lot of respect for promoters. I think promoters have always made money off the backs of fighters, and they've dropped them like a bad habit when they're no longer able to make money for promoters. Now, that may not be universally true, but it's my feeling, my opinion. Just one guy's opinion on the internet. So if you're a big fan of Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or Ben Shalom, good for you. I'm just personally not. Anyhow, I thought about, in the context of Connor Benn, excuse me, and Chris Eubank Jr., that Eddie Hearn has really come across as a complete loser here. He was never my favorite guy. I'm not on his Christmas card list. He's not on mine. But the way that he's conducted himself, and the way that he was almost gleefully expecting bad things to happen to Chris Eubank Jr., just hasn't sat right with me. From the get-go, when, was it 2.5 years ago, Connor Benn failed his drug tests, clomiphene in his system, Eddie Hearn from that moment on has just behaved in a way that has rubbed me the wrong way. And now, we had this boiling Eubank down, the missing of the weights by half an ounce. Apparently Eubank wasn't allowed to go and take a pee, which would have easily gotten rid of that half ounce, I would imagine. And now talking about a rematch, but we'll have to boil Eubank down even lower. It's almost like he's actually trying to cause harm to Chris Eubank. And like I say, I'm not a Chris Eubank fanboy. I just don't want to see anybody put in a position where they are so disadvantaged that it can be deleterious to their health, right? For the same reason, I don't really want to see, a fight take place at 168, because that would be too much for the naturally smaller man, Connor Benn, to go up for. But boiling Eubank down to make 160, and you're trying to put a square peg into a round hole, and you're not really caring if the square peg gets damaged. It's just like taking a mallet and whacking something in there, uncaring about whether or not this is going to be long-term ill effects or not. Now, I would hope that if there's a rematch, that Team Eubank are more in the driving seat. They've got the whip hand, and they'll be able to say to Eddie Hearn some version of pound sand. And maybe the reintroduction of Eubank Sr. might help in this respect. But there's something about Eddie Hearn. He just seems to be he's the ultimate greasy, slimy guy. And it's something that is really come out as being very distasteful with the backdrop of the Eubank Jr. Connor Benn fight taking place. There's also a little bit of a stench of desperation about him, if you ask me. His big cash cow, Anthony Joshua, is definitely on the last, if not the last legs. He probably doesn't have maybe one, maybe two fights in him, if at all. Connor Benn, Hearn is talking about him. He's now the people's champion. Even though he lost, he's moved into superstar status. You lost against a 35-year-old who was boiled down to almost dehydrated level. You put up a great performance. You earned respect. But I wouldn't say this has elevated you into superstar status. Really. I mean, credit where credit's due and all that. But let's not get carried away now. Katie Taylor, also an Eddie Hearn fighter. She's got one fight in her, maybe two. One, I think. He's a bit thin on the ground, isn't he, really? No, of course, I know he has others. He's some Americans. But a bit thin on the ground. Certainly, the last time there was a 5v5, Frank Warren wiped the floor with him. And quite frankly, Ben Shalom, who is just a child in this relationship, seems to be doing rather well. And Hearn is now talking of, you won't see me after another 3 or 5 years. I really think Hearn is looking to slither off like the snake he is. Anyways, that's my soapbox sort of, critique of Hearn. I think he's come across as a real loser in this Eubank Jr. Ben scenario. I think he positioned himself poorly. I think his demeanor and his gloating and his just seediness has probably turned more people off than he's gotten his fans. I'm sure that he and Matchroom don't give a rat's rear end what I think, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. Thanks for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.